Summation of Making, Not Knowing by Anne Hamilton for Healing Arts 2 by me, April Vihilidal. The healing of cherry blossom pink this semester has taken us from healing and communication with Daisha and Sophia to the element of surprise in creativity and successful teamwork with Andrea and Josue. In every work of art, something appears that does not previously exist, and so, by default, you work from what you know to what you don't know. Not knowing, waiting, and finding. Though they may happen accidentally, aren't accidents. They involve work and research. Not knowing isn't ignorance, for only fear springs from ignorance. Appreciation versus appropriation. Appreciation is when someone seeks to understand and learn about another culture in an effort to broaden their perspective and connect with others cross-culturally. Appropriation, on the other hand, is simply taking one aspect of a culture that is not your own and using it for your own personal interest. Cultural appropriation is itself a real issue because it demonstrates the imbalance of power that still remains between cultures that have been colonized and the ex-colonizers. Today, we engage with the Japanese culture as respectful and humble guests. In writing haiku and respectfully learning about the Japanese custom of hanami, we learn about healing and art of another culture on the globe. We write haiku today to honor the Japanese culture with respect to broadening our perspective and to connect with others cross-culturally in an effort to heal the earth and all the cultures and peoples of the earth. We experience the Japanese haiku today in the spirit of appreciation and the aligning of healing arts practices in a positive and respectful cross-cultural investigation. We honor the Japanese culture. We give thanks for this culture of the globe for sharing their ancient healing poetry, haiku. The word haiku, pronounced haiku, is derived from the Japanese word hoku, meaning starting verse. Let us start a new verse, the global effort to end cultural appropriation. Let us acknowledge customs, practices, ideas, etc. of all peoples and societies whence they are experienced for art and healing globally. This celebration of art as the proper counterweight to the power implies responsibility. A responsibility that comes with the artist's power to exercise a free imagination. An example is hanami, the ancient tradition of going to enjoy the blooming of cherry blossoms. Hanami inspires the art of haiku. Pink cherry blossoms. White sun has kissed your petals. Now I reach for you. Haiku by April Hill et al. How might we find a way to speak together, to be a chorus of speakers summoning together a need to say? One doesn't arrive in words or in art by necessarily knowing where one is going. You have to open to all possibilities and to all routes, circuitous or otherwise. Not knowing is a permissive and rigorous willingness to trust, leaving knowing in suspension. Trusting in possibility without result, regarding as possible all manner of response. We honor this practice of art, of a life of making. From making, not knowing, and Hamilton asks us, how can we speak without speaking? Sock and Buskin remind us. Greek theater was a place where what was not allowed to be spoken in public was spoken. How? It was spoken in visual art, in dance, in music, and in poetry. Where's that place now? Every act of making matters. How we make matters. Make something to change your mind. Acts that amplify. Remember the butterfly effect? The flap of a wing on one continent, changing the weather on another? That is how a metaphor travels. The initial act may be small, but it can change things. We have the butterfly effect because scientists found that the minutest variations, almost undetectable phenomena, things hardly registering, can cause entirely different weather patterns to emerge. Unsettlers. All things are possible, according to Nadine Gordimer. The people know what to do before the leaders. I would add that perhaps it is the task of artists to know before the people. Let me repeat that. I would add that perhaps it is the task of artists to know before the people. It is the task of the artist to make material form, to give it presence, to make it social. It is the task of the artist to lead the leaders by staying at the threshold, to be an unsettler. Now, I would like to introduce my partner and new friend, Macy. Macy is going to share the summation of her article now. Yeah, the power of good questions. Okay, Macy, take it over.